Record. All right. Thank you, Samara, again for meeting with me for the fourth time now.
Yeah, almost done, Brett.
Almost done. Almost done.
All right, so we can just go ahead and jump in. This time
Great.
we're looking at standards 6, 7, and 8. So we can just go through those. Standard 6 is all about assessments and how you formatively and summatively assess your students. And obviously this was an introduction lesson. And so you're not doing any summative assessments, and that's clear. But I did see that you were assessing them various ways throughout, and it's also in your lesson plan and in your reflection. And so that was good. I really liked how you had the kids start in their classroom. I think that's like just a great change of pace, especially for this introduction class. So you were able to show the video and then stop the video at various times to actually demonstrate the knowledge and ask questions to assess whether or not they're understanding.
And that was a very purposeful choice based on your suggestion, the suggestions in the rubric. I said that in my reflection as well. So thank you.
Yeah, how did you think that went? I mean, I know you said it took time away from your class, but aside from
that, other than that, I mean, it did, like, especially I think I said in my reflection too, especially for this lesson, it did make sense because I'm introducing something completely new for them. And so, to start in the classroom where it's familiar, of course, and then, play the video, pause it, as you said, pause at certain points, demonstrate like in person, because one thing seeing it on video, but it's like, okay, I'm standing in front of you and I'm doing this. So it did, especially, like I said, I think especially for this lesson it was good. That was my only complaint really, is that it's it takes about a few minutes to walk down the hall and get to the gym and everything. So now that's time that they're doing in class time rather than the before class time. So but otherwise I think it went well.
I did too. I was really happy to see that. And again, especially for this, it wouldn't be like a every lesson type thing, but I felt like it looked as if the kids were really engaged in just the novelty of it, of like, we're in PE class, but we're in our classroom, we're watching a video.
We're watching a video.
Brett had that. There's a bat in our classroom. Like all of that just makes them more engaged. And then you were also able to give them the instructions inside the classroom before you got into the gym. And the classroom, just because of what it is, the students are listening more than when they're outside waiting for your instructions or in the gym with the bad acoustics. And so I thought that was, and then again, still on the line of assessment, I thought it was really great how you split up the class. And so half of them are working with Don't Ball, they're practicing their skills needed, but then the kids are able to get the one-on-one time with you and do, it seemed like three pitches per student.
Exactly. Well, it ended up being a couple per. And I thought that was good, and that was like what needed to happen. Because I obviously can't be watching. That class has like 25 students or something like that, and so for me to be watching everybody while I'm working one-on-one with each one is just obviously not possible. So she was working with doing a like a throwing catching exercise on the other side. So it was good to be able to split them like that, which is a nice thing about having a TA, admittedly. So
no, for sure. And I mean, obviously these are all just like they're visual assessments, which are totally fine. Do you do anything with the data that you collect from those visual assessments? Do you keep track of it anywhere?
I mean, this was just because this was just an introductory lesson. It's something like with the data, like I'll use that later. And I like the way that I use it is to just kind of determine where they are. And it's like, okay, after one lesson there, I said it in the reflection too, it's like I saw a notable improvement from like you've never done this before to like a lot of you guys are making contact with the ball and everything. And so those who didn't, or just seeing like their weak points, or like seeing the parts where it's like, okay, they're not quite like getting the batch, they're doing something like this rather than straight across and everything like that. That was the point at which like, okay, I know that I need to like work on this in future lessons.
And perhaps, I mean, I don't know, with like the sequencing of this unit, I'm assuming you're not playing a game quite yet. Like the next lesson will teach skills. And so perhaps with like the data from you and Thunball, like you can have some of the stronger kids pitch and swing by
Yeah.
themselves. How many bats do you have?
So right now we do just have the one. I'm working on getting another one. So that's part of that is one of the issues. It is like necessary to do it this way because we only do have the one. Yeah, I went and looked for it, and all they had at Decathlon was like metal and wooden bats, which like we're not going to use those. So yeah, with the plastic bats, unfortunately, if this was America, it'd be like they're all over the place, but
Yeah.
here not so much. So yeah,
Okay. I didn't realize we
yeah,
only have
yeah.
one.
Yeah, we only have the one right now. So that definitely does kind of put a, yeah, I guess makes it a little more difficult, but
For
it's
sure.
we make do. And so
Yeah,
yeah,
totally fine. But yeah, otherwise for standard 6, it was pretty good. You had the accommodations. I think that having the one-on-one instruction with, like you've already talked about this,
yeah,
really made it easy for you to accommodate the students, give them
yeah,
the what they needed in that time, because different students need different things. And then you did use your data to meet your objectives, as the objective
yeah,
is hitting objects with a bat, and
yeah,
you are
exactly.
very,
Yeah.
very much heading
Doing
in that
precisely
direction.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Doing just that. So yeah, standard 6, I thought you did great. Standard 7 was your planning, evidence-based strategies, and the use of technology. This was a great lesson for that, showing how you planned, you started in the classroom, you used the technology, went over the basics in the classroom before bringing them down. I also like that you were modeling the skills using the like real materials instead of making everything like um, in their minds. They actually
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
see and touch. So that was really good. And as for your sequencing, it was great. It's an introduction class, and you did the introduction, you paused, checked for understanding before moving on. And so
yeah.
it was very, very good.
Cool.
And then standard 8 was all just instructional strategies. So monitoring and adjusting, which again, I think you did a great job with the video. I think having both the video and you holding the bat, like having just one isn't
Okay.
as great as having both. And so it
Yeah,
was great to have the video. They're able to watch and listen. Kids love the tech, but then they're also able to see you in real life and like make those adjustments,
yeah,
talk about what you're doing right and wrong. And so those just together make a much stronger
yeah,
lesson than
yeah,
if you're just doing one or the other. So how did you feel
yeah.
like that went?
Yeah, I thought it went really well. Yeah, that was it would have been, yeah, it would have been easier to be like, all right, guys, here's the video, but it's like, okay, let me actually bring the bat into the classroom, and
Mhm.
have it there so that, and like, yeah, I made the point obviously to pause, and it's like, okay, you've seen this on the video, now do this, and then like twice in the lesson, I said, okay, now I don't know anything, like show me, like what am I supposed to do,
Yeah.
and like that's the way to see like, okay, how much of this did you actually internalize? And so,
Mhm.
and then they were able to like say this, and it was encouraging to see that they were actually like paying attention and that they had started to absorb some of the information.
Exactly. And so that brings us to like questioning to develop higher order thinking. And so like for them to watch and say, okay, stand with your legs shoulder width apart. Okay,
Yeah,
that's one thing. And pausing and being like, okay, how am I supposed to stand? And being able to model that and have
yeah,
them answer and show you. I mean, I think the camera was mostly on, like you'd see Justin a lot and Bonnie. And Justin, he's so athletic as it
he is
is.
very athletic. Yeah.
He was really engaged, but otherwise, like how was the like class reaction to it?
Uh, I mean, overall, I thought like they were good. There is about as well as I expected, because some of the students are just like, the levels of engagement I get with my classes in general are like pretty wide ranging, and so it's like those ones were engaged, but even still, like I think once the the like they had a chance to go, they actually did like, oh, that was really fun, because several of them came up to me afterwards like, oh, can I have another turn? And I was like, well, you have to get through everybody, but like we'll do this again, and eventually we will play a game. And once we play the game, then like everybody, hopefully we get multiple turns each game and everything. And so it was really encouraging to see so many of them come up to me afterwards and say like, oh, I want to go again, like because it was like, oh, I've never done this before and it was actually really fun, so let me continue. So that was really
Yeah.
nice to see.
Well, and I feel like this was a lesson that really engaged all the different learning styles too, because
Yeah,
I mean, my brain, PE can often be very just like kinesthetic, physical, whatnot, but you had
Yeah.
this where kids were able to learn by listening, learn by
Mhm.
watching, and actually handle it as well. And
Yeah.
so it was really an altogether very good lesson.
Thank you.
And over just like the course of the videos, I felt like this one was one where you were really like showing off what you can do, like showing
Yeah.
that you can make these PE lessons like really
Yeah.
strong and develop higher order thinking. And just because it's PE doesn't mean that like we're not doing thinking skills, we're not doing listening skills, but you're doing all of these things at the same
Yeah.
time. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Thank
really
you.
actually didn't have as much to say because I just thought that this lesson went really well and
Thank you.
was impressed. Do you think you
Thank you.
will continue to, even for like introduction, have it in the classroom? Do you think
I
that,
could
how did
see,
that
yeah, I
go?
could see doing that in the future, especially like when it, yeah, I think for, especially for introductory lessons, I think that's the one that makes the most sense. It kind of
Mhm.
gives the kids some excite, like builds the excitement. It's like, oh wow, I'm watching this on the video. Now we're going to do it in class for the next like couple lessons or weeks or whatever. And so, yeah, I think that I could see myself doing that again. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just like really sets the stage for like we're starting something new. We
Yeah.
have it just sets it for like the classroom is where we go and we learn things. The gym is where we go and run around and play games.
Yeah.
And so I
That's a good
think
way to say
that
it.
it
Yeah.
really does separate that like, okay, we're learning something new. I need to focus and listen
Yeah.
rather than just I'm thinking about my students, but like,
Yeah.
just rather than going wild, we need to
Yeah.
be listening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I could see
And then,
doing it. Yeah.
you do your exit tickets with like how they uh, feel,
Yeah.
and do you still hold to that the kids assess themselves honestly?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, the one, and I pointed it out, like I actually, and I even said in the annotation in
Yeah.
the video that the one he just like had like a thumb, and I was like, he was actually probably one of the better ones. I was actually really confused why he, and I was like wondering if maybe it was something because he had worked with me earlier and then went to like the throwing and catching exercise, and so I was wondering if maybe he something happened there where he didn't feel as confident because when he was actually hitting, he actually did fine. So I was like kind of confused by that. But everybody else, like I got a lot of thumbs up and some thumbs sideways, and of course some down, because it's like, oh, we're learning something new. I'm not good at this. So it's like, well, yeah. And I always make a point to say, it's like I don't expect everybody to be great at everything, especially in the first lesson with something that it's like, all right, now stand this and put this and shoulder up and back, and like there's just a lot of mechanics. And so I would have been really surprised if all the kids were like, yeah, I'm like really great at this and everything. It's like, well, no, you're not going to be, and that's okay. And so that's why that's why I made sure to like have them do like the round of applause for themselves at the end, because it's like you guys just did something that most of you guys, like half the class had never even seen a baseball game before, and by so starting there to go from that to now you're swinging a baseball bat, which is something that you've like never even
Mm.
touched before, and now you're doing it and you're like at least showing some progress. It's like that's something to be celebrated, and so I wanted to like make sure that they actually acknowledged that and celebrated it. So yeah.
Yeah. And what do you do? This goes back again to just the data collection with like the information that you gather from them. Like there are some thumbs down, some sideways, a lot of
Yeah.
ups. What do you do with that when you're planning for your next lesson?
I kind of make a note of those that said they weren't so good, and I first of all try to encourage them more, and then
Yeah.
maybe give them like extra reps or something like that. Or it's like, okay, this student isn't so confident or doesn't feel so strong about it, so like let me like I'll make sure to like throw like in this lesson, for instance, like throw like an extra gentle pitch or something like that when I work with them the next time, just to make sure, because a lot of it I think is just it's not so much that they're not like they don't like it, it's just they're not confident, and so it's like trying to build
Yeah.
that confidence. That I think that's a lot of what I'm trying to do, and that's what I do with that
Mhm.
data.
Would you ever like change the pacing of your lessons if like everybody was giving you a thumbs down? Would you just be like, all right, next week we are
Yeah.
fully doing this
Yeah, if
again?
it came to that, yeah, like I would say, yeah, we're gonna do it again, or even try to like change the delivery of the lesson or something like that. To yeah, and then thankfully I've not gotten that. No, that's good. But yeah, I would definitely like I would obviously, I couldn't just be like, all right, guys, we're moving on. Like you all gave me thumbs down. But like,
Right,
yeah, I would have to like
right,
really
right.
consider like why, first of all, why did they all give me thumbs down? What was it about? Was it my
Mhm.
teaching? Was it the skill that we were learning? Was it, was there external factors, that kind of thing?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would really obviously have to take a step back and consider why it was like that. Thankfully, that's not happened. But yeah,
yeah,
I would
no.
definitely have to do that.
And have you,
So
on
yeah.
the reverse, ever had to just like, okay, it's thumbs up from everybody, we can just jump into a game faster, or would you
I would
continue to just pace it?
I would say like there have been times where it's like, okay, we got through that a lot faster than I thought we would. So yeah, maybe like push the game forward a little bit, like the lesson in which we do the game, yeah, do that, push a little bit forward. But there's always at least like one or two who are not quite so sure. I've never gotten unanimous either way. So yeah, and that's to be expected.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
again, like I said, I think this was one of the best lessons I've watched from you. And yeah, I thought it
Thank you.
went really well. So good
Great.
job.
Okay.
You're almost done. Only one more
Yeah.
video to go.
Yeah.
So
It's good to know. Yeah.
awesome.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.